Kelly is a transformation and branding, personal branding specialist and the founder of Kntransformational branding. She works with outstanding people and enterprises who want to live, be, and create the extraordinary. Her mission is to help discover and develop her clients' greatest resources to create and express a dynamic, cohesive brand that stands out and gets real results. She's passionate about empowering others to become the best version of themselves and building successful, inspiring, authentic brands that are sustainable long-term and make a powerful impact. I'm delighted to welcome you, Kelly, and we're really looking forward to your thoughts on personal branding. Welcome to our webinar.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a shame we couldn't do this in person, but thanks to the wonderful world of technology, we're able to do this via a webinar format, which I'm actually doing a lot of these days. So yeah, I wanted to just share with you, I know we don't have much time together, but a few tips and some resources for you around personal branding and the work that I do on a regular basis that to empower you really to, the sort of the main work that I do, and the goal is really to empower you to create your best life, the best version of yourself, but also to elevate your brand in a way that you can influence and lead in order to make the impact that you want. And these days, and especially now, especially the world just went virtual, it's more important than ever to be thinking about your online presence, your personal brand, your professional brand, and what that's saying about you and what the message is and how that's coming across online. So I wanted to actually share a quote with you, a quote of mine, that your brand is, so essentially your brand is your voice today, a powerful enabler which establishes trust, credibility, inspiration, and success in your field. If you want to make an impact that sets you apart, having a strong personal and professional brand is no longer a luxury, but a necessity. So that is something to think about now that the world just went virtual. And what is your online presence? It's time now more than ever to increase your skill set. So that's also digital tools at your disposal and thinking about, okay, what are ways that you can get who you are out to the world and what you have to offer in a way that's aligned with your brand, right? And thinking about how you can build your brand. So the first area I really want to focus on and share with you that I think is so important is your authenticity. So authenticity, the power essentially of authenticity and personal branding. Now that's something that not everyone is always thinking about because people are so concerned with how they come across, right? So people of course want to put their best foot forward and thinking about, which leads to, unfortunately, people not necessarily being their authentic selves and putting that across because they feel like they want to be impressive. And there's a lot of pressure to be impressive. But in my experience and building brands for nearly 14 years now, the most effective and sustainable way for brands to be sustainable as well and make the biggest impact is through authentic brands. So authenticity is really important. And part of that, just to give you an idea of like how you access that and how you want to think about that, is thinking about something that I call authentic empowerment. And that is connected to your personal power. So your personal power is essentially all that you're capable of, right? So it is your true greatness and the area of where you can express yourself in a way that's not worrying about what other people think about you or personifying things that aren't really you because for fear of being judged, or personifying things that you think might be more acceptable too. So it's really about stepping into, and this takes some courage, really your authentic power and sharing who you really are with the world in a way that is not always easy to do, right? Because it can feel vulnerable. So that is something to think about how you are presenting yourself now in your online presence currently. And if you are actually being courageous and stepping into your personal power fully in a way that represents all that you have to offer the world. So if that's not something you're currently doing, you know, think about it. You want to think about how you're showing up online now, and the areas that you feel already very confident in, right, and authentic. And then think about, okay, those areas I'm doing well. I feel like those areas, or how I'm showing up online in that area, those are working really well. And then, but what areas do I feel a bit shy about not bringing all of myself to the table in a way that I'd like to express myself because I'm feeling shy, or I'm not sure if it'll be acceptable or impressive enough. So think about, and you want to think about looking at those areas too. So that's part of it. And you want to think about how you can strengthen those too, in order to bring more of yourself to the table and your brand. And then next, I want to just talk a little bit about your narrative, your story, which is also a very important element in personal branding. And, you know, that is, I love, actually, to share a quote with you that I love. Simon Sinek says, people don't buy what you do, but they buy why you do it. So it's something to think about. You know, we are, you know, as human beings, we are emotionally motivated, right? So we want to think about your story, right? And how people can relate to that, and think about how to develop that, right? And how do you develop that? And then how do you share that in a way online that's also marketable, right? So think about, first of all, I would suggest your past, like write it out, you know, write out your past, your present, your future story, right? You want to try to make it succinct as possible. And then take time to do this. And then again, make sure that you feel empowered in a way that it's very authentic, that it's truly you, right? And then clarify, think about your passions, right? So you want to think about your passions, your purpose, your dreams. These are all things that really should be part of your narrative. Like, so don't feel like, oh, I don't want to include that because I'm not sure if that is aligned with my brand. So first of all, start and consider and include those elements. Those are really important elements of that. And then also share your struggles and things, or a struggle, you know, something that you've overcome in your life, right? That you feel proud of. That's a really important part of your story, which is an important part of your brand, and something that people are going to be able to relate to, right? Because, you know, ultimately, and I think more than ever, the coronavirus is showing, you know, the world and all of us how connected we actually are, right? It's not just happening in some remote part of the world anymore. It's happening to us, right? And it's happening all over the world now. So it's a global crisis, but it's showing us in a way how connected we actually all are. And the fact that we all have these online tools, and we have had for some time, all these things available to us. But I think people are starting to connect differently now, and in a more open way. So it's really important to think about different aspects of your story, and develop those, right, for yourself in a way that you feel this is a story you want to tell of who you are. And then think about, you know, your narrative in terms of your brand. So where you've come from, where you're going, these are some ideas to think about, right? And in a way that people can relate, and those people who are going to relate, some people, of course, will relate more to your story than others, but the people that do connect with you and do relate to your story will also want to join the conversation and your journey, right? So they'll want to connect with you. They'll want to connect with your brand and who you are and what you represent, and your journey, right? Like where you're going. So that process, right? And as you grow and as you change and as you get different opportunities and as you share that in the ways that you share that, you will establish, you know, a following, a real following, authentic following of people that want to continue to be on the journey with you, right? So that's a really important aspect of developing your brand and your narrative, right? So a really powerful brand narrative. And that will also create an audience and engage audiences with you in a way that if it's authentic and it's real and it's coming from you, then people will want to be more involved, right? And support you, right? And then also be involved and offer you opportunities, right? They're able to see what you actually have to offer. And you want to share things too that you deeply care about, right? So it's great to share, showcase who we are and the things we've accomplished, and our goals and the things that, our ambitions in a sense, but also, the things that you really deeply care about. And in a more sort of holistic sense, right? Like who you are as a person. So not just your professional ambitions, but the causes that you care about and the things that you do, that you may volunteer, or, like who you are as a person and what that's more of a holistic approach to your story is also a very, creates a very powerful brand narrative when you think about it more holistically, your story. And then you want to think about also how to, as you're developing this, so I always recommend, you write that out first, but as you're developing it, how to then tell it masterfully, right? So you want to be able to master that story, right, in a way that you feel is authentically you, but then in a way that you can express it and feel very confident in expressing it too. Okay, and then just quickly here too, I just wanted to mention, because there's a lot of like terms flying around online now too, that not everyone kind of understands what they're really about. So brand identity is one that I think we see popping up everywhere now, and people are just like, well, what is my brand identity, and where do I even start with that? So your brand identity is essentially your own cohesive message. So it's who you are and what you represent, right? And then the message, so it's in a nutshell, your message that you're putting out to the world is your brand identity. So you want to think about what that message is, right? And that's going to be, of course, part of your story, or you might be a segment of that, but you want to think about creating a cohesive message across all of your, wherever you show up online. So your online presence, you want to think about what is a message? Are there any inconsistencies in that message? So all of the things that you're involved on in terms of media related, social, any of your online presence, anything that you're a member of, anywhere that you essentially will show up that will show up online, you want to think about what is the message. So you want to get first really clear on your own message, and then look at and review where you're showing up online and if there is inconsistencies in your message, because it's really important when developing your brand and your brand identity especially, is that you have a really strong cohesive message. So, I'll just give you a few points to think about, things that you can think about doing. So of course, look at yourself online, Google yourself, look yourself up and see how you're showing up online. Okay. And then, as I suggested, is it a clear message, right? So is it consistent? Is it clear? You want to think about that. And then look at, like I said, any committees, clubs, wherever socially you're showing up, any of your profiles you want to think about. And think about, is, again, your message very clear in that? And, if it's something you haven't thought about, think about, what is my message, right? And start to develop that. And it's not something that I think you really can do overnight. It's something that takes time, especially when you're developing something authentically. So, it's something that's like planting a seed. You want to just start thinking about, okay, what is my message? And how can I just start thinking about that, about everything I post, everything I start sharing, right? And when you start putting that consistency there, it will be much more effective.
Thanks, Kelly. That's very generous. It would be, I think you can just post your contact details in the chat if you want. Here we go.
Exactly. There's my email if you want to reach out.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. Especially, I think now we've got a very diverse range of perspectives on personal branding, like from entrepreneurs and trainers. So I think this is really valuable, and I think what we all see now, that it definitely will take us some time, and it would be great for all of us to think a little bit more about personal branding and actually allow ourselves, or actually motivate ourselves now to take some more time for personal branding.